So, Justin, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV and congratulations on your new book.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So, you are a psychiatrist by profession,
Yes.
okay? Or you're a psychiatrist by day and a novelist by night, or what? How did this book come about?
Yeah. So I used to be mainly like I would do the medical studies and the medical work during the day and I'd write like in the margins. Recently I've been able to take more like writing days, historically like Mondays and Thursdays. But I did like today I saw a whole day of patients and then I switched off my button down shirt, put this on and then on here. So but I was a writer who went to medical school. So I had a passion to write. Back in high school, started writing seriously in college, and I got the idea for this story. It started as a short story when I was a first year in medical school. I was focusing on short stories at the time and mainly did like science fiction. And there was a call for submissions for this online literary magazine called Cross Genres, and they had theme submissions. And one of their theme submissions at that time was school. And I had just started school, medical school, so I sat down and thought of a futuristic medical school, and I'd always been interested in where AI might be going. Like back then, it was very much speculative. It hadn't taken off like it had now, which was actually beneficial, I think, for the book because I was able to explore a lot of the potentials and the hopes, and also a lot of the things that I might be more wary of, or some warnings. Whereas right now, we can kind of see like the direction that it's going. And then over time, as I went on to become a doctor and chose psychiatry and got more experience, the book grew with it. It went from a short story to like a much longer short story. And then the last few years is when I've been working on it as a novel. And in a lot of ways, it's still at its core an AI like versus medicine story. But it's also, me rediscovering the kind of the love and the magic of becoming a doctor because in med school it's hard to, I think, appreciate that because of all the rigors of the studies and the anxiety over like failure or doing wrong, etc. And being able to kind of process all that in this book after years of going through the training and then being like a grown-up doctor, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah, medical school is you have to really this a lot. You have to really want it. Because I feel like if you start, you don't want to quit.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, no matter how hard it gets, it's like I've already invested so much,
Right.
whether it's money, time, you know, uh,
Both.
family investment or what have you. Um, and luckily I found psychiatry because I really enjoy psychiatry as a profession. But you hear like horror stories of people who, go into a field of medicine that they're not happy with, but then they feel stuck because they have such, enormous like debt that they took out. So they feel like they have to continue doing something even if they don't like it. So thankfully I found something that I think aligns with, you know, um, my interests and what I like to do.
Okay. So what made you pick psychiatry? Because I know when you go to I think it's the residency part,
Yeah.
where you go you try out like this different disciplines.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So actually, when I went to medical school, I wasn't really aware of psychiatry. Psychiatry was not on my radar. I was thinking surgery, or maybe pediatrics. I'd always been interested in the brain, so I remember asking to shadow neurology. And then, but quickly into medical school, I found psychiatry. I actually went to do research my first summer after the first summer after my first year of med school, where I went to med school, Mount Sinai, New York. They have a Seaver Autism Center, and I went to one of their seminars, and I talked with a child psychiatrist that was there, and I actually didn't know it at the time, but one of his goals was to recruit like future child psychiatrists. So I did research with him at the Seaver Autism Center that summer. And then I was still writing, and I found that, my love for narrative and, and finding story aligned with helping people find their story. And I remember going to a panel for writer physicians, and two out of three of them were psychiatrists. And then the next year, another two out of three completely different physicians that were on that panel were also psychiatrists. So it felt early on that it really aligned with my creative side and my love for writing. And then I do a lot of therapy as a psychiatrist, and that's what really drew me to. I focused a lot on that in residency, is getting more and more therapy training, and that's what I continue to do in my doctor life.
Okay. So back in the olden days, psychiatry used to be considered for crazy people. I'm just saying what it was associated with. But now it's evolved into more than that. So tell me what your typical week is like in terms of types of patients that you see.
Yes, yes. So I see a full range, but I'm an outpatient psychiatrist. So there's some people that choose to work in inpatient units or the hospitals, or maybe in the emergency room, and that will be definitely for people who are in more need of help. But I work in a clinic where people come from their homes and they come to see me. Sometimes it's as frequent as once a week, but there are some people I see like four times a year. And I see a full range. Most of the patients that I see are suffering with depression or anxiety, and then still about most of them is what I call is stable, right? We found like a medication or a treatment that has worked for them, so they're doing, just fine. And then we might check in like every couple of months just to make sure that they're continuing to do fine. Also have patients who have ADHD, and it can be a mix of people who were diagnosed with ADHD as kids, or didn't come to the diagnosis until they were in their adulthood. I have some people who have OCD. I have some people who are dealing with addiction, and it can be various levels, like people who are trying to get over their addiction, to people who have been sober for a long time, or people who have just recently relapsed. And then there are people that I treat who might have bipolar and experience manic episodes. There are people who have schizophrenia and experience like psychosis or altered reality. And then, there are people who deal with thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting themselves, whether it's, in the past and they're doing better now, or active, so work with a good mix of it. I'd say as a majority of the patients that I see on a day-to-day level, I'd call more or less stable. Let's say in a given week, I might see about 40 patients, and it's a mix of virtual and in person. We have offices in Los Angeles. Today, I'm traveling I'm in Boston actually for a science fiction convention. So all of the patients that I saw today were virtual, for example. So that gives some flexibility too, both for me and for patients. But I also, have the ability to see people in person, because, it can be very valuable to have somebody come in and, lay eyes on them in person.
Okay. Um, do you feel like some changes in our society are affecting people in terms of psychiatry? And by that I mean people are, they seem that many of them are more isolated because they rely a lot on social media or uh, just not, they don't go into work as much. When you work from home, you're by
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah.
Just the whole work environment. Have you seen some changes in that? And it escalated during COVID when
Yeah.
everybody was shut down. Have you seen some changes over time with that? The increase, leveling off, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I did training at UCLA, and I was finishing my training there right when COVID hit. So it's a lot of my experience as a psychiatrist, as an outpatient psychiatrist, has been in the time of COVID. So it's very interesting. It's like a COVID came around the same time that I was, actually becoming like a grown.
Entering the profession.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting. I think that it's definitely hit people in different ways. I remember there were times where, people felt really in their element, whether they had like social anxiety or what have you. It's like now I can, I don't have to be out in the world where it's anxiety inducing. I can be at home. Like this is the energy that I like versus, other people may end up in stressful situations. Maybe their home is the opposite of their safe place. And maybe, them being able to go to school or go to work in person was their outlet, was their kind of break away from like a stressful home environment. I think that, so since COVID, a lot of different things have hit. Like right now, I think the things that are going on with the economy and the uncertainty with like AI taking people's jobs, and the difficulty in finding a job, all these different things, I do see it affecting people in different ways. And mainly manifesting, I'd say, like as anxiety. I think that with social media and just constantly being, aware of what's going on around us in the news, like having all these data points, seeing all of these images online that we can get very easily. I do think that it's making society as a whole more anxious, and more, wondering and fearful about like the future because there's so much information that we get all the time. So I have seen that.
Yeah. I noticed over the years there is basically something every week that people are angry about.
Yeah,
And it if you're angry this week about this thing, next week people will be angry about another thing. And so I, I made a decision not to be angry about any of it.
yeah,
Because you can just have it, flipping you around where you're just in a state of anger all the time. And so that's not good for anybody. That's never a good way to live, or you're not going to be operating at your maximum if you seething all the time about something or another. And just wait till next week, it'll be something else. That's
yeah, yeah,
it's the
yeah,
same thing every week. And that's been going on for a while, like years, since social media really started becoming uh an active daily part of people's lives. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's so tell us about the book, The Hospital at the End of the World.
Yes, so the hospital at the end of the world, set about 20 years in the future. So we've handed over the reins of society to AI, like this global AI system, the Shepherd organization. They started to take over a lot of things, and our medical system, like they've just bought all the top medical schools in the country. And our young protagonist, our main character, he's Pac. He grew up in New York, was like the center of this AI technological boom. And he wants to be like at the cutting edge of medicine. So he's applying to all these medical schools. He's a top medical student. He thinks he's going to get into everywhere, but then he gets rejected from all the top schools. So he's dealing with that when his father, who's a physician, dies of a mysterious illness. And all of a sudden, Pac finds himself fleeing New York, because he finds that he's in danger too. He's actually fleeing this AI system, and he has to go to New Orleans, which is the last holdout city in the country that's like rejected the AI, the technology that the rest of the country has adopted. And there is Hippocrates, which is the last human-led hospital and the last human-led medical school, where they're actually teaching like the what they hope to be the next generation of human-led medicine or human-led doctors. So Pocky becomes a medical student there, and he has to work through medical school while figuring out the ins and out of his father's mysterious death and how it relates to that AI organization, and then his own past, how it relates to that as well. So yeah, it's my love letter to medicine, my love letter to the Black community, and it also talks about a lot of the implications of AI, not just in medicine, but in law, in art, in sports. Yeah, it's really been a culmination of what I've seen as a doctor, the importance of like that physician patient interaction, and just really trying to have people think about, like, as we go into this next age with AI, like have like a healthy dose of skepticism as we go into that.
Yeah, I think that's the should be the case. And I'm a Terminator enthusiast, and the
Hmm.
original Terminator said that it was the year 2029 when the machines would take over.
Yeah.
And the original Terminator came out in the 80s. So they were thinking ahead, and we're almost there. We're
Yeah.
3 years from there, and it seems like we're on that path. Um, Now, I saw an episode of The Pit. I don't know. Have you watched The Pit?
Yes, I did. I watched the pit. I'm about 4 episodes into the second season. But yeah, enjoyed it a lot.
So, this doctor is using AI
Hmm.
to do the patient notes or the charting.
Yes.
And in the one episode that she does that, one of the residents picks up the fact that the medication is the wrong medication.
Yeah.
It sounded like one, and it was really a different one,
Hmm.
which, if that went into the actual chart, that could have horrible, you know, life altering or life and death consequences.
Yeah.
Because if you give somebody the wrong medication, they could be allergic to it. It could
Yeah.
interact with something else they're taking, and so um, that's why AI we have to be careful. Now, a lot of us patients or just regular lay people are self-diagnosing
Hmm.
online by using Google and AI. And so, I don't know if psychiatry would be as acceptable to that. Do
Yeah.
you
So
your patients?
So I definitely had that. I definitely, I warn patients about it just in terms of like, so for example, when starting a new medication, people may look up all the different side effects, right? And then if you Google it, you look it up. I always joke with people that any side effect that you ask if it can cause, you're going to find somebody somewhere that has experienced that. And because of the mind body connection, you can experience those side effects from just reading about it. Then you start thinking it's similar to, if you've ever like, heard about bugs and then you feel itchy, right? Like the fact that you're thinking about like, oh, do I have bugs on me can cause your body to become itchy. So there are ways that, just hearing about something can cause us to be more susceptible to those types of side effects. But also, but so when patients come and they're very anxious about maybe starting something or if they're experiencing something or what have you, I let them know and I just told you, but I also work with them, because if I scold them or if I say, if I wag a finger or what have you, then they might not come back to me. And if they don't come back to me, then I can't help them. One thing with AI and kind of with online and seeking that for answers that I have noticed is I have had some patients who have turned to ChatGPT like for therapy, or at one time I had a therapy patient that was actually using ChatGPT in the middle of our session, which was interesting. Just kind of interesting to navigate with, and I gave an interpretation about why he may be more trustful of ChatGPT, and then he typed it in while I was talking to him, and he was like, "ChatGPT agrees with you." I was like, "Oh, I'm glad." You know, um, so
Wow.
yeah, so I definitely think, oh, one positive thing, I have had patients who've come in and their the online search engine or what have you have helped them come up with a list of questions to bring to me. And I felt like that can be really helpful because I know that it's a common experience where people after they see the doctor, they're like, "Oh, I should have asked this or I should have asked that," or they might go in not knowing what it is that they should ask. So I do think that it can be, an important tool if it's used in conjunction with, a person's relationship with their doctor.
Okay. Yeah. People who are having AI or bots or whatever as friends or
Yeah, yeah.
marrying them.
Oh wow, yeah.
I, there was one woman who married her. AI, bot, whatever it is. I
Yeah.
just think my thing is what happens on the honeymoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, 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 you know, there's some behavior that's attention seeking behavior that, and a lot of that is exhibited on social media because it's been monetized. People can say outrageous things
Yeah.
and make money, and then some people will believe the outrageous thing and run with it, and it creates anxiety. It's an interesting world we live in. I still believe human interaction is the best. um
Yeah. Great.
they now the dating app thing used to be the way that you're supposed to like meet people, and now they're saying that people are um, they're sick of the dating apps
Hmm.
and they want to go back to meeting people face to face, which that's how you read somebody anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, I just think psychiatry is an interesting profession because you have to be really able to tell someone things about yourself and trust them that they're going to give you, trust the doctor that they're going to give you the best advice. So, how are you able to do that? You know, I don't know if a person can see enough people to where they can draw a conclusion, or do you help the person draw their own conclusions?
Yeah, that's the part. I definitely I feel like I'm more about collaborating with the patient and kind of help them come to insights and draw conclusions. Because when somebody asks me like, Doc, what's my diagnosis? I tell them like honestly, I feel like diagnoses are most valuable for billing purposes.
Uh-oh, we may have he froze. Oh,
It
you're
is.
back. Okay,
Oh,
good.
sorry.
You froze for a second.
Okay, let's
Okay.
see.
Mhm.
So yeah, so if somebody comes to me and they're like, Doctor, what's my diagnosis? Like I tell them honestly, diagnoses are most valuable for billing purposes, right? Like we have these lists of diagnoses, but like a person's experience doesn't read the textbook, right? So it's usually not just a cut and dry, like, oh, it's this thing exactly. Sometimes it is. It might be cut and dry, where it's like, oh, this is, major depressive disorder. But a lot of times it can be a lot of different things. It can be like past trauma. It can be some anxiety, some social anxiety. There might be some depression there as well. Maybe there's also ADHD as well. And I think that I let people know, especially for certain disorders or diagnoses, like I'm not going to be able to just tell this after meeting with you for an hour. A lot of times it's
Okay.
after seeing you for a prolonged period of time. Especially, for example, if somebody's coming in and it's like, hey, for example, they're like, I had this episode like a couple years ago and I got diagnosed with bipolar, but maybe it was just like because I took something, some like some drug at the time and it wasn't. Can you tell me if I really have bipolar or not? And I let them know, like it'd be a disservice if I were to tell you after this one meeting that you don't. I would have to really like see you over the next few years. I could say, based on what you told me, it seems like it's likely not this, but I really wouldn't know for sure unless I'm able to see like you over over a prolonged period of time, so I really get to kind of know like what your highs are, what your lows are, like what normal quote unquote is for you. Then I can notice if there's like a deviation from that. So it does take time, and it takes time to build that trust. And one of the most rewarding things that I think that I do or I have experiences I have as a psychiatrist is like having someone come in who's like wary about mental health or psychiatry, and then over time like earning their trust where they feel comfortable to kind of let me like walk with them and kind of figure out what's going on.
Okay. So, the book is called The Hospital at the End of the World by Justin C. Key, and it's about AI. So, and it's set in the future, you said.
Yeah, about a step in the future, like 20 years in the future. So
Yeah.
not so recognizable to today, especially with what's going on with AI. Um, but yeah, but like a few steps into the future.
Okay, well, congratulations on your new book. And are you planning to keep writing?
Yes, yes. I'm working on my next thing right now.
Okay.
I have some short stories that are coming out this year. So yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that this is my first novel of many, many, many novels.
Okay, well, congratulations, your dual career. And it's good to pursue your passions, whatever they may be. So, as long as they're legal.
Yeah, yes, agree, agree. Co-sign that. Well, thanks
Yeah,
so much
okay.
for having me on there.
Okay, thank you. And congratulations again.
All right, thank you so much.
Have a great night.
All right, you too.